Hello, friends. I'm Amy. I'm the Globetrotting Stitcher. I'm here with Gary, also a Globetrotting Stitcher, and we're so happy to be back with you today. We hope you have all been well and that you have been getting a lot of progress on your stitching. I am excited to tell you today we have been making some good progress here, also some progress, but we'll talk about that later. But we have a lot of great things to show you today. So grab a cup of coffee and thanks for spending some time with us. By the way, if you are new or just finding this channel, this is a YouTube channel about cross stitch. So if you enjoy that, we hope you enjoy what we have going on here. And if you're returning, welcome back. Thanks so much for sharing some of your time with us. We really appreciate it. So I wanted to start out by just saying a big thank you to those of you, several of you left comments on our last video. We had a little bit of a conversation because I had a complete brain fart and could not remember what the little cross hatching was called in the windows. And so a number of you were kind enough to remind us that those are called mullions. So hopefully that's a word we never forget again, but no promises. But anyway, thank you for those of you that left comments to share that. And then also a big thank you to many of you that left kind comments about, we shared a couple of photos from our wedding because we had someone who was interested in seeing my wedding dress. So thank you for the kind comments about my wedding dress and saying that I looked lovely. Karen from the Stitching Owl did say that she wondered how Gary looked at the wedding. So perhaps we can sneak in a photo of Gary. He was very dapper that day. So perhaps we can do that. As far as a brief life update, it's been...
Perhaps.
As you can see, he's feeling difficult today. So we'll see what happens. As far as like a brief life update, things have been just busy. I've been away a lot. Not out of the country this time, but I've had a bunch of different team retreats for work. So I've been gone for the better part of several weeks now, and it's not slowing down. It's just speeding up. So it's just been a little bit wild. But in the midst of all of that, we just recently celebrated Summer's Gotcha Day. So I think that was last weekend that it was official that Summer had been with us a year and we all managed to survive it, and she's thriving and doing really well. So
yeah, she almost became part of a salad.
I feel like there's a story there. Summer's great escape.
No, she was just high-spirited, that's all.
Yes, and vivacious.
Great dog.
Great dog. She is also up on May 1st. So because Summer came to us as a rescue and she was a stray for probably the first roughly 9 months of her life, we don't know when her actual birthday is. But when we got her, the vet estimated that she was almost a year old, just shy of a year at that point. So I kind of have pegged May 1st as Summer's honorary birthday. That's right around the time she would have been born. So May 1st is coming up, and so we'll be marking Summer's unofficial second birthday. So something to look forward to for her. And then I also found out very last minute in the last couple of weeks, I wasn't supposed to do any travel for work until the end of June. And then it was going to kick off a long, very busy season of travel. Well, I had an unexpected trip come up, and so I'm heading to Senegal in 2 weeks. And that'll be my first time visiting Senegal, so it'll be interesting. So that's what's coming up there. So in terms of stitching, we have, like I said, a lot of great things to share with you today. Before we start showing our stitching, I did want to show you, one of our longtime viewers sent me a photo a couple of weeks ago. And on Instagram, her handle is Bunny E. Martins, but her name is Mariana or Mariana. I'm not sure which is the correct pronunciation. But some of you might remember that a couple years ago, I stitched the Blackberry House sampler by Plum Street Samplers. I did it as a stitch along with my friend Sarah, and I stitched it in honor of my dad. And Bunny also was inspired by that, and she stitched Blackberry House in honor of her dad as well. And so she got it back from the framers. She had fully finished the stitching and then got it framed. And so she shared a picture of it with me, and I asked her if I could show all of you excuse me, because it just turned out really beautiful. So we'll share a picture here of Mariana's finish. It's absolutely lovely. So congratulations, Mariana. And thank you so much for sharing. I loved seeing your beautiful finish. Okay, so now we will get into our stitching, and I have two finishes to show you. I had kind of previewed in our last video that I had some finishes coming up, and sure enough, got some stuff done. So the first thing I will show you is the project I've been working on in my seasonal category of my rotation. That is Gather Here by Hello from Liz Matthews. I stitched this on a piece of 32 count pecan Wexford linen by Silk Weaver, and I used NPI number 568, which is in the Iris Blue range. So the last time you saw this project, I had made some really great progress. I had finished stitching all the leaves and berries on the left-hand side of the design. I had stitched in pretty much all of the words along the bottom with the exception of the last word, which is hearts. So the first 4 words, gather here with grateful. And so that's where I was. And let me show you my lovely finish. So here it is, all done, washed, ironed, and looking great. I'm really pleased with how this turned out. I really, really enjoyed working on it. It's just been a real pleasure to stitch. Very easy stitch. And I actually have already ordered a frame to fully finish it. So just knowing what's coming up over the next couple of weeks, I have doubt I will have time to get any fully finishing done, but looking forward to getting this one in the frame when I do, because it will go up with our autumn decor when I start putting that out at the end of August. So there we are, Gather Here with Grateful Hearts. This one was really fun to stitch. All right. The next finish that I had was in the travel category of my rotation. And this one was also fun to stitch. So this is Seasons Winter by Leela's Studio. And I stitched this on a piece of 32 count avocado linen by XJU Designs, mostly using the called for flosses. But I did make a change and I converted my birds to cardinals, and was really pleased with how those turned out. So the last time you saw this, I was closing in on the finish, and I was working on the branches and the pine cones on the right-hand side of the design. Yeah, I think that was what I was doing the last time you saw it. And here is my finish. It's there. Trying not to wrinkle this up. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I really like it on this fabric, and I'm so glad that I decided to change those birds to cardinals. The called for colors, it's like a black bird with a brown wing. But this just feels a lot more festive and Christmassy to me. And since this is certainly going to be a pillow that I put out at Christmas, I am going to turn it in, spoiler, I'm going to turn it into a pillow. Since I'm going to be displaying this at Christmas, the cardinals just felt really festive and Christmassy to me. So that's how this one turned out. This one felt like it just stitched up really quickly. Not in terms of the amount of time as far as when I started it to when I finished it, because I started this in December, but in terms of actual when I was working on it as a travel project, the stitching went really quickly and I made quick progress on it. So really like how this one turned out. And again, not sure exactly when I will get into the fully finishing process, sometime before Christmas though. So that is how this one turned out, and I love it. All right, let's see if we can move that without. All right, so we are going to move on to the whips. I'll show you one and then I'll give Gary a chance to talk about his, but first I will show you my weekend stitch. So one of my longer term full coverage projects is Butterfly Port Mauve by Heaven and Earth Designs. I only stitch on this on weekends. My goal is to put in about 250 stitches per weekend on it. I am stitching it on a piece of 28 count white easy grid Lugana 2/1 using a combination of half stitch and continental stitch. So the last time you saw this, I had been working hard in the background. I'm working down the far left column of the design, and I was working hard in the background. After you get below, there's some beautiful peach flowers, and I had stitched those and have just been plugging away into this background because obviously there's a ton of it. I've put in about 1,500 stitches since the last time you saw it, and so this is where it is now. So as you can see, I am still working away in that background, but one of the things that was really exciting this time around was to start to stitch in this beautiful purple flower. That it was just a really, I don't know why I enjoyed it so much. I think it was just the change in color palette. It's a whole new color that's coming into the project. And just the way that this flower looks right now, it kind of looks like a bit of a pansy. And when you see it in the overall design, it's not a pansy, but it looks kind of like a pansy right now. Stop laughing, Gary. I can't take him anywhere, you guys. Anyway.
I'm not a pansy. Sorry.
Anyway, that's where it's at right now. So really enjoying that. This one is getting close to, I'm at a little over 38,000 stitches on this so far. So it's starting to really add up. So yeah, that's that one. All right, Mr. Giggles. How about we let you talk?
Thanks. We'll start with Louis Armstrong. Louis Armstrong is designed by Jules Design, or Stitching Jules Design designed it. It's the design by and then design again that messes me up. Anyway, it's 16 count white aider called, the DMC is 310. We're using 310 because it's 310. The last time that you saw this, I don't remember if we had, I remember we showed you that we had to take some out and put it back, which I did. I didn't spend much time on this since the last video, but the last time you saw it, I think I had just started getting close to getting to the palm of the hand, where his hand comes up done. So this is what, sorry. So this is what it looks like now. I did not get much done, but the thing about the area that was done is it's fairly dense stitching. Some of it is literally like 100 boxes of X's. So and there may be one that doesn't have one in there. So 99 black X's. Anyway, I'm not going to make any more jokes with that line. So anyway, so that's where I am on Louis Armstrong. I'm also trying to learn how not to say or Good luck. The next one is unexpected. What's it called? Unexpected visitors, right? And the designer is Night Spirit Studio, and that's an Etsy shop. So if you go to Etsy, you could find this one. And it's being done on 16 count clay Ada, and we're using the called for flosses specifically because I love the black, red, white contrast. I don't know why. I always have like old Russian posters that are really cool. Some of them are, well, whatever. Anyway, so the last time you saw this, I think I had just started the left side border and hadn't done much more than that. So since you've seen this, I started doing this. Here's what it looks like now. And I actually did this side of it, at least close to the halfway point on the page. I did as much of the black as I could on this half of it. When I got to almost the very top of that, we realized that everything that I had just is sewn. Can you say? Stitched. Can you stitched? I didn't want to say sewn because I thought that would reverberate. Anyway, everything that I had stitched was it was up high it was up one high according to the border. The border was a separate stitching effort, so it had nothing to do with these. So what we wound up doing, and here's a picture of it, is taking out, well, here's what it looked like beforehand. Well, you already see what it looked like beforehand. So we had to take out the entire left border, which we did, and then we had to put it back Yeah, she took it out. I'm not going to do that.
Oh,
No, she's very gracious in that way.
that's right.
Okay, so yeah, we had to pull all of that out, and I had to put it all back. Otherwise, I probably would have had this half of the page, or this quarter of the page, so before quarters, almost done. So I'm thinking by the next time that we break out the camera and start doing stuff, I should have that page. Should be done. I should be working on another page. And with regard to Louis Armstrong, I'll probably be working on a new page, which will get me to the 5th page that I'm working on Louis Armstrong. But anyway, that's where the aliens ruining Christmas thing is going on, or actually unexpected visitors. Anyway, so that's where that is, and that's it for my whips. Today is Easter. It's Easter Sunday, so fortunately we had an action figure that represented a bunny of some type, and here he is. He's called Captain Carrot. I didn't know anything about this character until McFarlane Toys released it, and then I was like, I have to have it. I don't know why, but it's just a carrot, a Captain Carrot. It's a rabbit. He's got a cape on. I don't think Bugs Bunny could mess with this guy. Anyway, so happy Easter for those that celebrate. Have a great weekend for those that don't. So yeah, Captain Carrot is the action figure for today. I'm done.
All right. So I have a couple more whips to show you. And the first of those is my sampler. So I am stitching Brick House Sampler by With Thy Needle and Thread, and I am stitching mine on a piece of 40 count Abecedarian linen by R&R Reproductions. And mostly using the called for flosses. I'm making a couple substitutions as I go, mostly just to make sure things are showing up on my fabric. This is a project that I am stitching, that I'm doing as a SAL with my friend Sarah. She is Stitch Addict on Instagram. And then we have also been joined by @ChasingAlyx, that's ALYX, also on Instagram. So if you're not following both of those ladies, I would encourage you to do so. Sarah was actually working on her Brick House sampler last week also. And she made some fantastic progress. She has finished the giant house, and her project is amazing. She's stitching it on 56 count, and I'm just like, my eyes, like sometimes the 40 count is just like stretching me a little bit with my eyes, and I'm like, ooh, they're aging. So I'm so impressed that Sarah's able to do this on 56 count, and it's so tiny. So anyway, on terms of where mine is, the last time you saw it, what had I been doing with it? I had started the flowering vine that goes along the bottom of the design. I had also stitched, started in on the house myself. I had stitched in the roof and then a little bit of the fill-in. And then, let's see, I had finished the tree, and then I had also, so under the tree that's on the left-hand side of the design, there's 2 dogs. I had already stitched the first dog, and I stitched the second dog. And I mentioned in our last video that I have changed the color I'm changing the color of the dogs because there's 3 in the design and I want them to look like our 3 dogs. So the dog on the far left is Sophie. And then the dog on the right side of the tree is Bear. Summer's gonna come in on the other side of the design. Anyway, so that's what I had done the last time. Here is where I am right now. So as you can see, I've made some good progress on this week. I have done more of the flowering vine down here, and I'm happy how that's coming out. I've stitched this grass border almost to halfway across the piece. I've done quite a bit more fill-in on the house, and you may not be able to see it as clearly just because the white color isn't showing up super great on this fabric, but I've stitched in most of the outline of the windows here, or the window frames. And I've started stitching in this big kind of like flower box here. I finished the bird and all the little berries and twigs around him, and have started stitching in kind of these floral elements here. So it's really coming along. I'm almost completely done with page 1 of this piece, and solidly into the house, which is the main element on page 2. So I'm really happy with this one. I've really been enjoying it, even though sometimes the 40 count tries my eyes. I'm really enjoying this. It's such a beautiful piece. The colors are so rich and so pretty, and this one has been a lot of fun. And so I'm enjoying having another stitch along project to share with friends. So that is where I am on this design. If you have this in your stash and you'd like to join us in our stitch along, it's kind of an informal stitch along. We don't have a hashtag or anything, but please feel free to tag us if you're stitching this and you want to share your progress, or if you'd like to get a start on it. We're always happy to cheer folks along who are stitching the same beautiful pieces that we are. It makes it just adds to the fun. So that's that on Brick House Sampler. Okay, the last whip I have to show you. Let's see if I can move some things around here. There we go. All right, the last whip I have to show you is my my wild card rotation stitch, and that is Cabin Fever which is a Dimensions Gold Collection kit. So I'm stitching this using the kit fabric and floss. And I'm just gonna tell you, I didn't make a ton of progress on this round of rotation. So the last time you saw it, I had finished stitching the rowboat and the dock that are kind of in the center of the design. And I was starting to work down through the pond. I had also started working in the flower beds in front of the cabin and was kind of starting to fill in the front porch of the cabin. So here's where this one is right now. So as I said, I didn't make a ton of progress. I did take this with me on one of the team retreats that I was on, and between having several really long days on retreat that kept me from being able to stitch in the evening, as well as I ended up being ill while I was out on retreat. I just didn't get to work on it very much. So it definitely cut into my stitching time. That is okay. But as you can see, I have carried down more of the pond here. And so a lot of what you're seeing here is pond, but it's reflecting back up this tree, and it's reflecting back up to the cabin and the rowboat here. So I did a fair bit of work in here, did more of carrying down these beautiful flower beds and kind of the wooden framing of the flower bed itself. I've finished stitching all of the front porch and the front steps. Those will eventually get back stitch on them, but at least the stitching part is done, and then have also now finished stitching in this side of the cabin. So in terms of the actual stitching on the cabin, that's done, but there is still a fair bit of back stitch to do to really make that pop. I also spent a little bit of time working in more of the stitching over here, filling in the trees and kind of looking back into the distance behind them, which is really, really beautiful back in there. So slowly but surely we are getting there. I had really hoped, so this one is going to hit its second birthday in July of this year. And I had really hoped that I was going to be able to get this one done by its second birthday. I am not on track to do that by any stretch of the imagination. So, I think this one will probably become a little bit more of a focus for me after I've, finished a couple other things, but we're just going to keep plugging away. They get done when they get done, and we enjoy working on them. And that's the whole point of having these beautiful projects. But this is where I am on Dimensions Cabin Fever. All right, so that is it for whips that you have seen, but I actually have 3 new starts to share with you, which I think is a record for this channel. I don't think I've ever had 3 new starts between videos before. So the first one I will show you is my new start in my, my seasonal category of my rotation. And I have been wanting to start this project for a very long time, so I'm really excited to finally have a start on it. I am, so I'm stitching the Mine Biscorn by Heartstring Samplery. And I'm stitching this on a piece of 32 count caramel linen by Seraphim Fabrics and using the called for flosses. So here's where I got to. This is only one day of progress, but I did start it on a weekend, so I probably got a lot more progress on it than I would have if I had started it during the week. And I really enjoyed this. The colors are beautiful. I like how they're showing up on this fabric. I will tell you, I'm a little worried about the fact that I am stitching it on a 32 count. This is a much larger than normal Biscornu as it is. And so then to stitch it on a 32 count, it's going to be like a massive donut pillow by the time it's all said and done, but that's okay. It's really, really pretty and I'm really enjoying it. One of the things I have to say, just looking at this piece, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm watching something or listening to a book or, something when I'm working on a cross stitch project, sometimes whatever it is I'm watching will like become associated in my mind with the project just because I was working on it while I was watching. And Gary and I watched, the day that I was working on this, we watched several episodes of The Residents on, which is a Netflix show, which normally we don't like recommend shows on our channel, but if you haven't watched The Residents, it is fantastic. We both really enjoyed it. It's a multi-part murder mystery with lots of twists and turns and just fantastic cast, really great acting. Anyway, if you haven't watched The Residents, highly recommend. It was a great, it was a really fun watch. But when I see this, like my mind immediately associates back to watching The Residents. So we'll see if that continues as I continue working on this piece, but that's what I'm associating with it for right now. Anyway, that is my start on the beautiful Mine Biscorn. All right, my next new start is in my travel category, and I am starting a series of what will be Christmas gifts, and I'm trying to get an early start on these. I'm going to do a number of ornaments for family members this year, and so this is the first of them. So I have started with the Woodland Holiday Chart by Leela's Studio. And those of you who know Leela's Studio know that that she has released, this is now the third chart series that she's done with like ugly Christmas sweater kind of styles. And so I am stitching the bear holding the gift in this particular chart pack. I'm stitching it on a piece of 36 count Mocha Edinburgh linen by Zweigert. And here is my start. This is actually a really healthy start. I'm well over halfway done. I love this. This was so much fun to work on. I had a great time with it. And like I said, a really good, solid start on this. So one of the things that I find really helpful when I am in retreats or major meetings is having something to do with my hands. And one of the things that I love that my team has been doing for years is they put out like fidget toys for people to play with, because a lot of people find it easier to concentrate and like stay focused and present if they've got a fidget toy. Well, the same is true for me with my cross stitch. And so it's really great that people seem to understand that. And they're like, oh, she's not paying attention, when in fact, this is helping me pay attention. So I took this with me. I started it at the beginning of my retreat. We were there for 3 days. And this is where I got to over the course of the 3 days. And it was really funny because the colleague that I was sitting next to as I was working on this, he saw me start it. He was there for the whole 3 days. And as I finally started like turning the corner and filling in the last little section of the outline of the sweater, he leaned over to me. He's like, that looks like a sweater. And I was like, that's good, because it's supposed to be a sweater. And he's like, really? And I was like, yeah, it's an ugly Christmas sweater. And he's like, that's really cool. Anyway, it was really funny like to have him knowing that he'd been giving this little project the side eye for a couple of days trying to figure out what it was. And then all of a sudden he looks at it, he's like, that looks like a sweater.
Can I ruin it for you?
Yes.
All right. So I can tell that there's probably a bear face or something in there.
That's correct.
But the way it looks right now is it looks like a turtle. It's like a turtle head up top and the little turtle paws there.
Goodness.
And I'm like, that would be the ugliest Christmas sweater with a turtle on it. What would it? Christmas turtle. Anyway, looks like a turtle.
You're going to get this one now. This is going to be your turtle Christmas sweater.
It's mine. And I'll be telling people, looks like a turtle.
Well, that's that. Here's your ugly turtle Christmas sweater.
That's a t-shirt.
That's a t-shirt. All right, the last whip I have to show you is the project that I started for my monthly morning stitch. And this will be the last new monthly morning stitch start. It is the 6th one. And so now you'll just continue to see them as I cycle through all of the wonderful projects I've started in the last several months. So this is called Easter Bunny with Eggs 1. This is a chart by X Stitch Pattern X, which is an Etsy shop. And I am stitching it on 32 count French country linen by Witchell using the called for DMC. All right, so here is my progress. So you can see I've done a little spray of this kind of pussy willow, like framing here, and I've started stitching in the first of the bunny's ears. This one it's not gotten a lot of time and attention so far just because, as I've explained, things have been busy, but I'm pleased with what I've accomplished so far. One thing I have kind of slowed down a little bit. I'm in looking at this design, kind of there's a lot of like, I don't know how to describe it, but there's a lot of background to like, particularly the pussy willow, that like it almost looks like it almost gives me the impression that maybe this was like somebody tried to cut out the background of another image and then create a cross stitch chart out of it. I might be mistaken about that. Like the actual mock-up picture of this, you don't get quite that same effect, but looking at it on the chart, that's kind of the look that it's got. And I'm not super thrilled with that. And so some of the denser stitching that I'm starting to get into, I'm just debating about whether I want to not do those stitches and have a more crisp and distinct look especially for the pussy willow. So we will see. This is a larger project, so I've got lots of time to think about it, but it's kind of slowed me down because I'm just not sure how I feel about that. But other than that, I think this is a really sweet, really beautiful chart. I was really excited to get started with it, and it's been a pleasure to stitch so far. So that is where I am on my Easter Bunny with Eggs 1. Oh my goodness. So we had one question that came in that I wanted to respond to. And then we will wrap up by telling you what we're going to be working on for the next couple of weeks. So we got a question from Ida Cole. Ida is one of our longtime viewers. And Ida asked, when you work your full cross and half cross, how do you work it? Every other stitch or every 5th stitch? How do you plan it out? So I think what Ida is asking about is when I'm doing my half stitch and continental stitch on my full coverage. Ida, if I've misunderstood that, please let me know and I'll try responding again. But when it's how I work the 2 different stitches in my full coverage, basically on odd rows, I work left to right and do the half stitch. And then on even rows, I work right to left and I do the continental stitch. So it's as simple as that. If it's in an even row, it's always continental stitch. If it's in an odd row, I just always do half stitch. And that determines the direction that I go with each stitch. And then that way, no matter where I'm moving within the piece, even if it's not like a big block of stitching, I'm still staying consistent across the design and across colors. Hopefully that makes sense. Please let me know if that's confusing or if you have more questions or if I misunderstood what you were asking, but I think that's what you were asking about. Okay, plans, and then we will let you get on to your next video. So over the next couple weeks, I am going to work on my full coverage project, which is Rose Trellis In. Looking forward to getting back to that one, especially as I'm finished with the house and really just focused on background now. I'm also going to spend a week working on my fancy lady, which is Rose of Sharon by Mirabilia. And I am closing in on the finish on that. So I'm really hoping that I can just have some focus stitching time. I'd love to be able to show you a finish on that the next time we film an update. We'll continue to work on my weekend stitch, Butterfly Port Mauve. And then, of course, Gary's going to continue plugging away on both of his projects. So I think that will do it for us for now. We hope that you are all doing well. We hope that you're getting lots of stitching time. As Gary already said, if you celebrate Easter, we hope that you are having a joyous Easter. If you enjoy our videos, please give us a thumbs up. Feel free to leave a comment. We really enjoy reading your comments, and we do read all of them and respond as quickly as we're able to. You can email us at globetrottingstitcher@gmail.com, and you can follow me on Instagram between videos at globetrotting_stitcher. So with that, be well and enjoy your stitching, and we will see you really soon. Bye.